Hello, everybody, and welcome to Micallef Cigars Off the Record. I feel like it's been a fresh minute. I feel like it's been a couple weeks, Alan. I know you missed us last time. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, business got a little bit in the way that day.
Yeah, working hard, but I'm just. Well, it was the.
So yeah, unfortunately,
well,
business got in the way that day, but I heard it was a great show.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, again, Lauren Coper, your host here at Micallef Off the Record, and Alan, my lovely co-host, or really mutual. I feel like we're both hosts. And then we have a special guest today, Rob Mason from League of Fat Bastards Cigars. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me.
Excellent. So I know we have a meat of discussion to go through, but where did you even come across the name of League of? How did that come into origin?
Yeah, great question. So League of Fat Bastards, a brand new cigar company, excited to be in the U.S. market and really international as well. But we were started as a company early this year. We launched our first line, a Series L. League of Fat Bastards was started by our founder, Adam Levine, not the singer from Maroon 5, but Adam is he's an Australian business guy. He's been a cigar consumer for a long time, and he's got a really interesting story. So he's a mergers and acquisitions attorney. He's been successful in life in Australia and in Asia. And long story, what makes our product really unique is our focus as a company, as a brand, is all around men's mental health. And so that's our mission, and we can talk more about that. But everything we do is kind of helping bring awareness and break down the stigma of men's mental health. And a long story short, Adam had his own mental health battles a couple years ago. Was very public, but was suicidal in that experience, and realized from that through recovery in other ways, some things. How do I kind of, instead of having the conversation, why did this happen to me, and kind of feeling down, he basically changed the conversation to how do I help others? And so through his love of cigars and kind of his experience in business, he created League of Fat Bastards, and they found me. I've joined the company just a few months ago and excited to be here. So that's a long-winded answer, but League of Fat Bastards really kind of two meanings. One is, when you think about a tribe of people in a community, it's a league. And so it's, and the other is no disrespect to, Fat Bastards or what the connotation is or of the movie or anything. In Australia, bastard's a nicer term and kind of used amongst friends. And really it's about men chewing the fat and talking about their problems. So League of Fat Bastards was created. Some people call this LOFB, but it's a great cigar and exciting. I'm happy to share it and talk about it.
I like how.
There you go, Alan.
Yeah, I like how you approach men's mental health, because I feel like that's such an overlooked topic, especially in present day conversations when people are talking about certain, demographics in the public system. And I was actually talking about some with this the other day about how cigar lounges are kind of like that safe space, or the last frontier for men to really go and really talk and share and bond with each other. I mean, even as a woman in that space, I still feel like a masculine, safe pad is still very, very important, especially in the male arena.
I think cigar stores and cigar industry is one of the coolest things you can get into from a consumer product standpoint. It's the only consumer product I've found that creates an equilibrium amongst all people from all societies, no matter your ethnic background, your professional background, your socioeconomic background. You go to a cigar store and you have a commonality about a cigar. And so the lawyer can speak to the plumber, who can speak to the guy who works in the clerk, in the courthouse, and they have a commonality for an hour while they're enjoying their cigar and talking about it. And so, yeah, I think that's totally accurate, Lauren, from that side. Listen, men's mental health is a huge issue. Just in the U.S., 1 in 5 men, just over that, have men's mental health issues. It doesn't mean you're suicidal. It means, might be dealing with anxiety or pressure or stress or any other things. But 1 in 5 men. And the other interesting thing is 67% of suicides in the U.S. are men. This is a real problem for men. Not to say women don't, but traditionally men are, born and parented to, be strong and rub some dirt on it and just keep moving. And our whole approach is trying to break down really it's the masculinity. It's take the mask off and allow people to talk about it, break down the stigma and allow people to have the conversation. If it's a cigar store, great. If it's online or if it's just over a cigar. And for Adam, it was, his part of his recovery truly was through cigars. And that's kind of why he created this. Part of it was, he was an attorney and doing all these kind of deals and life and stress. And for him, it was in his cigars and smoking cigars is sitting back and being able to kind of, as he enjoys the cigar, put everything aside and smell the roses, as he called it. So, that's what was the impetus for him. And I think it's a great thing, right? You guys are smoking, unfortunately, in my house, but, it's a place where when I smoke and enjoy, it's like, I don't want to think about the rest of the world, right? I don't want to think about, all these other things. I want to sit back and relax and kind of take my mind away. And so I think it's a great stress reliever, proven or otherwise, to help with men's mental health.
Well, if you were smoking a cigar right now, I assume I know what you'd be smoking, but what would you be smoking right now?
I mean, I would be smoking our Series L. So it's tough to see with it blurs it out, but the Series L, available at a number of retailers across the U.S. and all the major online retailers in the U.S. So our Series L, 3 sizes, Robusto Toro, Churchill right now. We'll have a 60x6 box pressed and a Corona shortly, but I like the Toro. It's a great Ecuadorian, made by Hoya de Nicaragua and Esteli. Great smoke, not too spicy. I think it's a milder blend, but more complex.
Kind of like mild to medium-esque, but as you said, complexities and flavor and weight. Yeah, I love like honestly, I feel like milder cigars are always the most difficult to blend because like you have to add in that layer of a complexity and not so obvious, but still flavorful and like it still makes an impact on the smoker.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've partnered with Hoya, so. I think that was a strategic decision for us as Hoya's, the longest serving factory in Nicaragua. So since 1960. So it's pretty impressive what they've done. They're known for, obviously great cigars. They're partnered with Drew Estate and a number of others. So Steve Saka and Fratello make their cigars there as well. It's important for us as a new product and a new company to have good quality cigars that people enjoy. And we think the cigar is as good as our mission. So, it's a great smoke for people to enjoy.
I like that. And I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, Alan sent me a text message that I mispronounced your last name. So
it's fine. I was rolling with it, Lauren. I was rolling with it. No worries.
You can interrupt me because I hate it when people mispronounce my last name. But then
my last name is Maneson, but Rob Maneson. But I was rolling with it. It's no big deal.
Okay, cool. Alan, go ahead.
I'm smoking this cigar right now. It really is indicative of a lot of Hoya de Nicaragua cigars. Like they have a very distinct flavor notes to it. It's a really good cigar. I would highly recommend people purchase it. I know that one of our biggest retailers is Smoke Inn. They carry it. You can actually, you could do a sampler with them. You can build your own sampler, like Neptune Cigars. I know JR Cigars just brought it in.
JR, Famous, Cigars International, and we're about 50 brick and mortars across the U.S. In fact, you mentioned Smoke Inn. Smoke Inn's been a great partner. They will be in their Cigar of the Month Club for September. So excited about that to kind of get the product in more consumers' hands.
Definitely. I mean, that's a great way to try new cigars to the audience. The Cigar of the Month Club is great. I mean, they always do a good job of getting new products out there. Now, I did want to touch back, before you got in the cigar industry, you got in the industry, 10 years ago, I think it was? Or was it?
I've been in cigars 12, 13 years now.
Oh, yeah, right. I think it was right before I got in. But yeah, like before that, you worked at Philip Morris and you worked in the convenience store. Like, how did that experience lend itself or help you in your cigar career?
Wow. Listen, I mean, I professionally, this is my 20th year in the tobacco industry. So December is my anniversary of my 20th year in tobacco. So yeah, I started with Philip Morris and Marlboro cigarettes. I wasn't a cigarette smoker. At the time when I started, it was pretty much fresh out of college, and Altria, which is the owner of Marlboro, still is today, is a massive company. At the time, they owned Kraft Foods, they owned Miller Brewing, they had their international business. It was a great, huge multinational, and so I was looking for a company that I could significantly grow with, would give me great training and all that, and so they did. I started as a sales rep and moved up to a number of different positions. I was there 6 years. all of my kind of career, every position I've been in is built on the last, right? So I wouldn't be in the position I'm in if I hadn't had the position at the beginning, right? And so for me, I've been fortunate to kind of be in many different roles. So I started as a sales rep on a manufacturer side. I worked for, you said it, Alan, some convenience stores running their tobacco business. That was first time in my life kind of running profit and loss statements and really truly being accountable for somebody's actual profit in a significant category. Most convenience stores, their cigarette business is like 40% of their inside sales. So it's substantial.
Wow.
And then I got to premium cigars through a headhunter. So I was not really, I would say, a premium cigar smoker before that. I probably smoked a cigar a couple times a year. Somebody would have an event or a golf event, and I was always open to it, but I wasn't a consumer. I wouldn't call it I didn't know the industry. I didn't know the experience. And so I joined Altadis USA and had, obviously it's one of the bigger companies, and had great exposure to a number of brands and factories and customers, and had a great experience. So I love the cigar industry. Is a reason I wanted to get back in the cigar industry.
I mean, that's great. I mean, so when you joined Altadis USA, you were working in a trade marketing role. What is like trade marketing, and what was your role within that department?
Yeah, so I was the first official trade marketing person the Altadis USA premium team ever had. So I did my primary role, and it's probably evolved a lot over the time, and the team has grown. I did all the retail stuff. So my job was supporting and kind of helping the initiatives of the sales reps. So what they're going to sell, when they're going to sell it, how we're going to track them, how we're going to performance bonus them, and how they're going to be performed. And then from a retail standpoint, what materials do we need to support retailers with? So is it signage? Is it, cigar trays? Is it, whatever it is? And so I developed all that stuff. And then the big component at the time was they used to have a retail trade program where retailers could, if they stock certain items or certain brands in a certain way, we would pay them for that space. And so I developed, they had a program, and then we really refined the program. And I was there initially to develop that further and enhance it. So, just getting to understand it was great, because for me, it was a lot of interaction with our sales force, but also a lot of interaction with our retail partners and things they need to help support their businesses. And so really great insight from that position, and, from there.
Absolutely. And then after that, you moved over to JR Cigars, and I know that you eventually became the CEO of JR and Casa de Monte Cristo at different times. Like, how did your what was the challenges and what were the successes that you felt as a CEO in those roles?
Oh, wow. I don't know if we have enough time to talk through those things, Alan, but listen, I think,
you had to manage me. That was hard enough.
It still is, Alan. It still is. But no, it's listen, being a CEO was a huge honor. When I joined Altadis as a trade marketing person, and you would have, told me when I was hired that I was going to be a CEO of a division 4 or 5 years later, I would have said, you're crazy. That was never my aspiration. And it's similar as in life, is you do a good job in the current job you're in, and you keep gaining your skills and your experience. In big companies, they promote you and give you more experience and let you struggle and learn through your mistakes. And so when I took on first the CEO role of Casa de Monte Cristo, it was great. I mean, it was exciting because it was a really new project. For those that don't know, Casa de Monte Cristo was a group of retail stores that formerly was owned by JR. And we were at the time buying stores and acquiring stores and building new stores to kind of build up this network. And it's changed a bit, but they still exist today. So it was really exciting, creating a brand new concept from scratch and working with kind of all facets of the business. And so there's tons of challenge and tons of learning. For me in that role, it was like, how do I manage people without managing people, right? What they call strategic stakeholder management. So, I was working with teams from Altadis and across Imperial and other departments, but they didn't report to me, and yet I needed them to do the work that I was doing so that we could get to what I needed as a CEO. And so having to manage a bunch of different people who I wasn't their priority was really a great learning experience, and kind of for bigger roles. The CEO of JR, I mean, listen, I came into a business that had been in business just under 50 years. I mean, so JR Cigar is a massive company. It was a great honor. And I worked there before I was the CEO. I worked there for 2 years. So I really knew the team and learnings, and had ideas coming into the position I thought we could do better, and, we'd work toward. So when I took over, we were already kind of on a strategic shift that had happened a few years before. And that's why I was part of the original team to kind of help that. But it was awesome. I mean, from that perspective, I really got to know all the other manufacturers really well. And, we were, in most cases at the time, we were the number 1 or number 2 largest retailer for any manufacturer across the US. So, I mean, it was huge exposure from that side, but also, they're an e-commerce company. So learning about e-commerce and the consumer, and how consumers interact with websites, and what drives them to purchase, applies to everything I do now, and so forth. So, just great learnings. And I forgot part of your question, Alan, so forgive me. I'm rambling.
It's okay. Like, in terms of like learning, like, as being an experienced executive and managing teams, like either a sales team or an organization as a whole, like, what are the things that you learned about leadership, and what makes someone a good leader?
I think let me start with what do I learn? I think the number 1 thing is you have to listen to your people, right? So learning from your team, and asking them good questions, and getting them to talk, not just giving you lip service, thinking, typically as new leaders, people are kind of ingrained to tell the boss what they want to hear. And good bosses are able to open that conversation and have honest conversations with their employees, even when it's about their performance as a leader. I'm not coaching you enough. I'm not giving you enough direction, whatever that might be. If you don't know those things and can't fix those things, you can't be a good leader. So the ability to get honest feedback and honest conversation from your employees is really important. And so how do you do that? You build trust, you build, friendship, you inquire about personal things without being personal, like too personal, right? Asking them about their, how was their weekend, and getting to know things like that. Not invasive, but ways to build camaraderie and trust in them, that they have your back and you have theirs, and they believe that you're not, going to turn a bad answer they say around on them, and things like that, right? So I think that's key as a leader. Listen, leadership is learning and growing. I failed many times as a leader. I'm not perfect. I'm still not perfect in my role today. So for me, it's how do you learn from those mistakes and not make them again? How do you experience those things and, shift? The other one is, I think shifting as a leader is really important. If you're down a path and setting a vision, be it a sales plan or a customer plan or whatever it is, and you realize that it's not working, having the ability to say, we need to switch tact now, versus going another 6 weeks or 6 months or 6 years, that's really critical for a leader, right? To be able to zig and zag as you need, as things, happen. So, COVID would have been, I wasn't running JR, but it would have been really interesting from perspective now. I would have loved to have done that, in the sense of the consumer during COVID radically changed on how they consume cigars, right? They went from brick and mortar to online. So being a retailer, how do those things shift, and what do you do differently? And how do you retain customers and service them the way they need? I'm using that because that's obviously a big, moment in time. But
I was there in the company at the time, and as an organizationally, internally, we had to pivot from being all in the office and everyone working off computers to working at home and working off laptops. And while you not having as much communication as an interaction with your fellow employees as you normally do, and it was quite exciting. I mean, challenging, but it was also, in my opinion, great to see how we were able to coalesce and get through that time.
Yeah, I mean, and now look, obviously, I mean, we're doing this. You wouldn't have done this 5 years ago on a Zoom call or, StreamYard, because nobody was doing this type technology. So again, COVID, I'm just using that as an example, but as leadership, you need to be able to evolve and change. And sometimes that's quickly, right? So if things aren't working, and, I put it to, our brand's doing well right now, but if, if we come out with a cigar tomorrow and it doesn't do very good, we need to figure out a plan what that means. And that might mean a different channel strategy or a customer strategy or a price strategy. If, things aren't working, and vice versa. If things are working, do you double down on them? Do you go faster? Do you bring out more products? So I think that's what leadership is being able to adjust and have fun.
Who are the leaders or people in your career that have had the biggest impact or mentorship to you?
It's a good question. I've been fortunate in my life to have a number of mentors. So, it's tough to say there's some specific people in mind for sure that have been really great in coaching, developing me and giving faith in me to grow as my career. But I even go back from, when I was a kid, I played sports as a kid, and there's a couple coaches in high school who were very influential in my life then, and kind of discipline and hard work that I've got. And then professionally, kind of in kind of all my positions, I've been fortunate enough to have a mentor or somebody who I can look up to and go to and ask questions. So in Imperial, I had a person who I'm still very friendly with and has been fortunate enough to help. And we, it's not just a professional relationship. We're very close friends now because of our work together. And so, I think that's great. Again, not everybody has those experiences, but finding a mentor or somebody you can go to ask questions and bounce ideas off of outside of your day-to-day is always important in leadership.
I think for mentorship, it's important for your mentor to always be someone who can be honest with you and literally isn't going to sugarcoat things. I had a couple mentors in this industry, and one of them who you worked with as well, he has no problem telling me, Alan, that was your fault. You screwed up. You have to learn from this. And sometimes it's important to it's important to hear the truth for people. And they can't be your mentor if they're always going to try to protect you from the truth.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, I was just going to jump in. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt anyone. But what stood out to me, as you earlier said, and I feel like it's kind of it ties into even what we're discussing now. You said you made a lot of mistakes and you learned from them. So do you have a favorite mistake that you made that you carried that still with you, that you still, I guess, rerouted and it still affects you to this day?
Nothing I would say affects me to this day. I don't mean it like that, right?
The learning experience,
Yeah, I think there's a couple mistakes that I made some big mistakes that cost a lot of money, right? And so I've made mistakes around when I was at Altadis. Was promoted a couple times before I went to JR, and I ran the sales force and did pricing decisions and made decisions. When I left cigars, the last couple of years I've been in kind of alternative nicotine. I made some big mistakes around pricing and customers and getting trying to drive sales through promotion versus natural growth of revenue. And that becomes like a tailspin in some ways, right? So then the customer knows you're kind of willing to open the checkbook to help drive sales, and then they wait for that and don't want to buy on a regular occurrence because they're waiting for the deal. So there's some of those things that I've definitely learned professionally that I would do differently, or I'm not going to go down that path again. And when I come to this kind of crossroad. So I think there's some things, again, I've been fortunate where, I haven't made a massive business mistake that's, cost me my career or anything like that. So, but it's certainly mistakes along the way that have cost the company money in some cases. The flip side is I also have a lot of runs on the board that give me the leeway to make mistakes, right? And so it's not every company is going to say, oh, you made a mistake, you're out the first time. But I've also been able to produce a lot of revenue and profit for companies I've worked for that have then said, when you screw up and you admit your screw up, right? So it's, going to them early and say, I made the mistake. Here's what I did. Here's what I would do differently. How do we fix it? Those go a long way. Burying your head in the sand and saying, oh, it wasn't my mistake. No, it was Johnny's or, Susie's. That doesn't go well with most companies, right? It's taking ownership and accountability for those things. And then how do you fix it? And again, the flip side is I've had a pretty good run of making positives. So you get more credibility that way.
I think that's definitely absolutely true. I mean, taking ownership, it's something that you should learn at a very young age. When as a kid, if you make a mistake in class, blaming it on somebody else is never the solution. I think having accountability to me and being willing to jump on the grenade per se, to me, shows a lot about leadership, but it also shows that like that you can grow and learn from your mistakes. If you don't admit your mistakes, and like the same thing can lend towards mental health, where if you can't admit that you have a problem or that you're having problems, you really can't address them and solve them.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the issue, and again, for our brand, the mental health aspect is, I think a lot of what I'm finding is a lot of people don't know where to go to help, right? So they might know they have an issue, or they might know they struggle with anxiety and certain issues or this, but what do I do? And so, our brand, as an example, is trying to bring more awareness to that. We'll announce some partnerships in the next couple of weeks where people can go to our website and find, health. We're doing some events in store, which is really unique. And again, we're probably the only brand who can do this because of our mission. So we've done a trial, and we're going to expand this, where we're doing events in store. And, I wish I was a brand that was like an acid and pulled up Jonathan Drew and we sold 1,000 boxes and had, 1,500 people in line waiting. We're a brand new company. We're not that. So how do we make a difference? We've actually done a couple tests now where we've brought mental health professionals into a cigar lounge, and we do an event, and we sell a first responder pack.
Oh, wow.
We sell our product, and for 15 minutes, we'll have a psychologist speak about, just tips and tricks. It's not like going to give you a full diagnosis of anything, but it's tips and tricks about how to manage mental health, and maybe it's stress or anxiety or what that is. And it's been so far really successful. We've got a bunch of events scheduled later this year with CI at all of their stores for the same concept. They loved it, and we're really focused on it, and some other brick and mortars as well. So, I mean, I think these are things that people deal with every day, and not to say women don't have the same issues, Lauren, but women are a bit more open to talking about their problems than men are. So
yeah, it definitely. I've been dating men for years, so can attest that I am definitely more of the open communicator as opposed to the men I've dated in the past. Like, they have to, as you said, amass the masculinity. It's not very common for men to really be intimate in terms of expressing what they're feeling. So I think it's very important. I think this is such a great mission. I'm pleasantly surprised because I had no idea that this was a mission.
Awesome.
It's fantastic. I think it's marvelous. I have mental health struggles of my own. I don't keep much of a secret. I'm type 2 bipolar. So I understand like the journey. And as you said, it's dealing with mental health. You're dealing with a mountain, and just taking a little piece of that mountain and, giving them the resources so that they can, I guess, take a little piece, take the burden off, I think is so important, especially now.
Yeah. So the one thing I didn't mention about us, which might blow your mind even further, which, I think is, so obviously our mission is what we're focused on, right? So it really is the primary reason we have a cigar company. A lot of people ask, how do we support men's mental health? Well, the biggest thing we do is we donate 40% of our profits for every cigar sold. 40% of our profits we donate to men's mental health. So there's nobody else in the industry who's doing, that I'm aware of, that is donating 40% of their overall profits to any charity. The closest is probably Fuente for what they do with their own foundation, which is incredible. But they're not donating, all of every Fuente, product doesn't get donated to that. It's really their specialty pack. So that's what makes us unique. And we'll announce, hopefully next week, a national partnership where all of our money will be donated in the U.S. It's an organization that we're excited to try to finalize a partnership with, who supports military veterans in their mental health journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I mean, there's a lot of cigar smokers in the military community, and like a lot of since COVID, I've been using like virtual herfs a lot, and I've met a lot of people who are veterans, and like you see a lot of things that they've been through, and it's not just what happened in combat, but it's also about trying to go from a military life to a civilian life. And I think as men, like, we're taught at a very young age not to express your emotions or opinions. I mean, I've never seen my father cry or really express any real emotion. And I think as the generations go on, that stigma is kind of gone. And I think it's good to encourage like people to express themselves.
For sure. I mean, I think younger demographics, I'm 45, but younger demographics now, 21, 23-year-olds, are much more open to talking about their feelings and their issues, and probably than the older generation. So again, for us, it's just breaking down the stigma and supporting that the best we can.
And presenting
Absolutely.
a community, because do you feel like kind of in modern times, like it's really hard to find, I guess, strong communities? I feel like that's kind of lacking. It's more about the individual, and I feel like that is a struggle, is dealing with your own. So you're presenting them an option where everyone can come together and support one another.
100%, right? I mean, for us, again, it's the whole concept of a league, right? A league of Fat Bastards is to create the community and drive people together, right? Common cause, common issue, common excitement around. So, I mean, I think that's a huge issue, is more and more people are, segregated in their own world and not part of a community. So if we can do our little part in the cigar space with our brand, we're excited about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a best friend that I've grown up with since I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I've known him for almost my entire life, and he's very successful. He's got a happy marriage, a bunch of kids, and it wasn't until recently that I was aware that he had mental health issues, and I was like, "What can you possibly be sad or upset about?" And he's like, "I'm like, you make a lot of money, and you have the ideal life," and he's like, "Alan, the stress that I deal with, the anxiety, the my family relationships." He goes, "It's like in the 35 years of friendship, it was like the first time where like he ever opened up about his problems ever." And I thought, like that like I don't think that would have happened 20 years ago in society. People, the stigma would have told him never to even get help, let alone admit that he needed help.
Yeah, I think, the saying is you never know what people are going through, right? We've shared it on our Instagram page a couple of times now. There's a pretty good UK video of like two soccer fans, football fans. That's not from us. We've just reposted it about men's mental health. And, it shows one guy who's celebrating all the time and the other guy who's pretty distraught looking. And by the end of it, the guy who's celebrating all the time is the message is he's committed suicide. And it's like, well, you really don't know what people are going through no matter their behaviors. So, yeah, again, I mean, not to sound down here. That's not the purpose of it's, I think you never know what people deal with and what triggers stress or triggers anxiety or triggers their own mental health. All walks of life, right? Might be work, might be family, might be, them driving in a car and somebody cuts them off and triggers something. So it could be a number of things.
Yeah, I think
you're doing these events basically to kind of initiate like that conversation for men to be open.
That's exactly right.
Do you think, is presenting them that opportunity just kind of like opening the gates in a way, or does it take more finessing on your part? I mean, what kind of feedback do you get from each event?
Yeah, so I mean, we've done this in a couple trials and it's been successful. We think it's a unique proposition, obviously, for us that we want to have an experiential event that's not the traditional experiential event other companies do. It's been receptive. I will share. We did one in Miami a few weeks ago, and this is totally true. The Miami Marlins baseball, the coaching staff. Came in. It was one of their off nights. They get like 3 off nights a year during the season, and they came into this cigar store, and they were coming in. I don't think for us, but we had the event going on. There were 7 of them. They're having a good time. They were drinking and smoking, but even those types of people were super engaged in it because they were talking about high stress environments. When do you perform under pressure at your best? And they were literally stopped kind of what they were doing to engage. And again, it's permission, right? We're giving people permission to talk about these things. It was something clearly all of them were baseball players and athletes at the highest level. So they knew what they, going through a stressful situation or, your team needs to hit when the game's on the line, whatever. It was really engaging. So it was great. And I think the others in the audience loved it because they were applying it to their own lives. And so again, for us, the permission is the biggest thing. We're not health professionals. We're not going to provide, diagnosis or help, but we want to help connect you to people who can. And again, if it's over a great cigar that we can do it, that's the mission for us.
Now, is Adam Levine, the owner, is he like located in the U.S. or is he in Australia?
Yeah, Adam lives in Australia. So Adam, Adam is a finance guy. He's made a bunch of money through mergers and acquisitions and financial companies in Australia. He's moved and set up a family office in Singapore, which is where our company is based as a business. But Adam lives in Melbourne. Most of our team, we're a small team here in the U.S. Myself and another team member in the U.S. and we're in the process of hiring some sales reps right now for the U.S. But we've got a team in Asia as well. So we have a guy in Singapore who runs our kind of Asian market, and then Adam, our CFO, and another person in Australia. So they all live in Melbourne. So Adam's in the U.S. He was on a cycle probably like for 6 weeks at a time, probably every 6 weeks. So he'd come for 6 weeks and then go away for 6 weeks. He's going to slow that down. Great story to tell you. So he blended the cigar with Juan from Hoya, the owner of Hoya, over Zoom during COVID. So it's his joke, and it's probably accurate. He was in the farthest place you could be from each other to blend a cigar in the world. So they joked that it'd probably be a record, right? So they were having Zoom calls back and forth blending because it was during COVID and Adam couldn't travel to Nicaragua. So they had started the dialogue and conversation, him and Juan, and smoking samples and sending samples back and get on a Zoom late at night, one of them, or early in the morning, the other, and compare tasting notes and things they liked. And that's how they blended the original blend for Series L for us.
They made a COVID baby.
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
Are you guys working on any other like new cigars that are coming out in the future, or
yep.
Is it just
so we've got a whole product portfolio that we're trying to move quickly on. So the Series L stands for League. We'll have a Series O, a Series F, and a Series B. We've got all of those planned already. The Series O will also be made at Hoya. So our Series L is a Ecuadorian wrapper with Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler. The Series O will be a San Andreas wrapper, and I forget the binder and filler off the top of my head, but San Andreas wrapper, and that will be out by the end of the calendar year. So we hope October, November timeframe. We are in discussions with a couple different manufacturers in the Dominican Republic to make our Series F and our Series B. So we're trying to partner with really good factories who have reputable reputations and have been in the business a long time, make great quality cigars, and have a diverse kind of taste profile for our consumers. So F and B will, excuse me, if all goes well, should be out in time for PCA next year. And then we've got a couple other projects. I won't announce, but we've got some other projects in the works as well.
That sounds exciting. I mean, I think it's great that you guys are doing stuff in the DR as well as Nicaragua. There's been so much of an influx of people making cigars in Nicaragua that we kind of forget as consumers that there's a lot of great factories and a lot of great heritage and history in the DR.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for us, it's we didn't want to. We certainly had some conversations. Do we want to make everything through Hoya? And we had very honest conversations with them. And even Juan was like, you should go for what your mission is and what you're trying to do. It would be smart to expand. And that was kind of my initial thinking as well, as we should make from a variety of different factories. Because I think you just we're not trying to profile one consumer with one taste profile. I think it's trying to, get to across a wide variety of market. And to do that, I think you need to have different factories who are producing our products. So for us, Adam's really big too on because everything's about community for him. He's all about sharing the love across different manufacturers and building relationships. So, before he got into this industry, he went to the PCA a couple times to kind of do his research and look into it and met some connections. And then this past PCA was, I would say, his official kind of first time. But he had been the year prior as well. And so we were there. We didn't have a booth, but we were there meeting with customers and other manufacturers.
Like, where do you see the brand like within a year and within 5 years from now? Like, in terms of size, in terms of like just the scope and how it branches out?
Yeah, candidly, we're very ambitious. So we've got a very clear kind of roadmap for a business plan for the next 5 years of where we expect and the volume we want. We want to be significant. This is not just a hobby for Adam to have his own cigar brand. This is a business that we want to grow. So we've already started the US, and we've announced some partnerships in the last couple of weeks. So we are in Singapore right now. We're in Australia. We're in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and we've signed an agreement with Dubai, Middle East distributor. And for us, obviously, the US is the biggest market. So we're trying to ramp up expansion. We want to be a significant player in the US. That's not an Altadis true estate level, but we want to be significant. We think our brand has potential. Separately, we're not just getting into cigars. We're actually getting into adjacent products and categories. So we will have a non-alcoholic beer, also branded LOFB, as early as Q1 2025. So we're working on that as well. Obviously a mental health company, so we can't be in alcohol. That doesn't really go together, but non-alcoholic beer is a product it
helps sometimes.
We believe highly in it. So that's the next venture, and we'll have some others down the road as well. So
I feel like coffee is really big in the cigar community, especially with people who don't drink alcohol. Like they tend to be really big into what type of coffees they consume.
No, that's smart though with the non-alcoholic drink. That's actually a booming market right now. And actually the younger generation, they're not drinking as much as us old fogies. So
yeah, you look at the growth of mocktails and cocktails and all that stuff. It's pretty significant. So Aussie culture too is a big beer culture. So it again kind of hits our business and our founder. So for us, it's a venture we're gonna move in toward. So we're in the process of that. More to come there, but
is there gonna be a League of Fat Bastards Vegemite?
Probably not Vegemite, Alan. I don't think the American consumer is a big Vegemite. I'm pretty sure that's only an Aussie who likes Vegemite. You tried it? It's terrible.
I've had it, and the two people I know who are Aussie don't eat it. Like
it's terrible.
I was like, what is this? Like I can't even begin to explain what it is. But
no Vegemite.
No Vegemite. As far as a brand, like as League of Fat Bastards, do you guys see yourself like more at like going online versus brick and mortar? What's that's something that we as a company, we are more focused on brick and mortar. We actually do not sell to big online retailers. And it's not like that we're criticizing other companies that do that. But with how the consumers are purchasing and changing, is it important to evolve as a company? Like, how do you protect the pricing and the brand but still sell large volume online?
Yeah, so our price is protected, right? So we have a MAP policy for the industry folks who know what that is. We have a minimum advertised price policy, and our retailers, so far are following it, right? They respect it and honor it. I think the idea of brick and mortar, online distributors, I think it's an old way of thinking. Candidly, I think COVID changed that. Right? There used to be these traditional big online customers. They still are, by the way, but there's too many brick and mortars now who sell online. So they might not have catalogs, but they all sell online now because that's the wave of what it is. You're looking at your phone, Alan. How many things do you order in a day from your phone, right?
It's scary.
Be it your groceries or your clothes or just Uber Eats. How we do business in the world is massively changed. So we don't really look at it as brick and mortar and online. I think from our perspective, the biggest thing for us from a channel strategy and a customer strategy is getting the message out about our mission. And so who can do that the best is really critical for us. So to answer your question, we are selling to all the major online customers. We're also selling to some of the largest brick and mortars. And for us, the online is important for a number of reasons, because every consumer who goes to pick your large online retailer, who goes to the League of Fat Bastard page on their website can read about our mission and can read about the men's mental health that we're doing. If we simply go to a brick and mortar it's a new product made by Hoya, and given my retail impression, I don't mean to be rude, and they just put the product on the new, our new product on the new product shelf and don't want to talk about our mission and what we're doing, or don't educate their store staff and associates about our mission, we're just like everybody else, right? And that's no disrespect to everybody else, but we're just another cigar company, and that's not who we are. That's not what we want to be. We want to be a mission-led company, and so for us, it's a very clear reason why we want to be in online retailers. Again, brick and mortar online retailers, big online retailers, is because every consumer who goes to the League of Fat Bastard page of that company is going to see about men's mental health. They're going to hear Adam's story. They're going to hear a video potentially of Adam and see it, him talking about his experience. You can't do that in retail as well. So the partners we have in brick and mortar stores, we want to make sure that they very clearly are supporting our message and talking about our message to the consumer.
Now, you guys have done a great job, so in a very quick amount of time, getting into big online retailers and brick and mortars, like through JR and through Neptune and Smokin. And there's actually some smaller brand owners who watch this show often. Like, what advice could you give to them about how to get into those stores and how to be effective in getting turns and consistency of those accounts?
Well, that's trade secrets. I can't give that, Alan. But, listen, I think, obviously my experience and my relationship, there's my positions I've been in have allowed me to meet a lot of these people over the years and get to know these people on personal levels and build trust with a lot of these bigger retailers. And so, when I've been able to approach them and say, we've got this new concept, it's maybe a bit easier than somebody who's just starting out, doesn't have a relationship with these people. But I don't have relationships with every retailer in the U.S., and we've still gotten people. So I think it's being able to tell your story of whatever that story is, and convey that in a way that relates to the owner or the shop owner or the retailer or the online customer. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of ways for online customers. I know what works because I ran the second biggest online retailer. So I know what works to drive consumer traffic. Things have evolved, but those principles still apply today as they did 5 years ago. So when I'm going to an online retailer, I'm using my bag of tricks and my learnings from running JR to say, here's the 3, 4, 5 things I want to do in your business. And here's how I'm going to support it as a brand manufacturer, brand owner. Are you interested in that? And they're like, well, yeah, that's what helped drives my customer base. So that gives me a leg up more than some people, I think, for those big customers.
Thanks for that info, Rob. I'll try to use that to my advantage going forward and getting into those accounts. But just kidding. Now, what do you like? Let's talk a little bit about you as a person away from work, because a lot of times people in the industry, we only know them about their relation to cigars. Like, what are some hobbies and passions that you have outside of cigars?
My two biggest hobbies and passions are traveling, and I love golf, right? So I play a bunch of golf everywhere I go. Traveling started because of cigars, actually. I never really traveled before. Let me rephrase that. I had traveled the U.S. pretty extensively, but I never traveled internationally until I got in the cigar business. And so doing my first couple of trips in cigars kind of opened my eyes, like, I love this. And so I try to go to as many trips as I can internationally for work or for hobby a year as possible. So that very much is a passion, going to new cities, new places, exploring different cultures. The world is amazing, and I want to get out and see it.
Do you have a favorite spot?
Too many. My favorite place is Hong Kong.
Cool.
It's probably the coolest city. That and London are pretty amazing. From a country, I'd go to Spain any day. If you asked me to move to Spain tomorrow, I would jump on the plane.
London is at the top of my list of places to go, probably because I've never traveled internationally at all. And because it's so easy in terms of culture, in terms of communication and language, I feel like that'd be an easy transition to start off with in terms of countries to visit.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's English speaking, so it's great and lots of similarities. So great place to start, and London's an awesome city. So.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of good football teams there. And I was just
there you go.
Is there somewhere where you wouldn't go anymore? Like one and done? Match other countries, what I'm just saying.
Yeah, there was I've been to Germany twice, 3 times. I didn't love Germany. Part of it was because of the language. I think it's very difficult to communicate there and I don't speak German, so I think that was an interesting one. No, nobody really that like stands out, Lauren, that I would say I would never go back. But Germany, I've been a couple times for work and for pleasure, and it wasn't very beautiful, very cool, but it wasn't maybe my favorite spots.
What's been the favorite golf course that you played on?
Oh, I've been very fortunate. I'm not Gene Richter to that level yet, if you guys know Gene and his golf, but I've been very fortunate to play some great courses. So I've been fortunate to play the Old Course in Scotland. Was pretty cool. I've played Pebble Beach a couple times, which is great. So
that's on my list. Like that, and that place in Tahoe that they play that celebrity tournament on.
Yeah, so I've been pretty fortunate, but my favorite, probably the experience of playing at the Old Course, was pretty amazing.
So if there's one course that you've never played on that you could play on, which would it be? And if you could choose any person alive to play around in golf with, who would it be?
Well, if you know anybody at Augusta National has a membership that can get me on there, that's probably number one. I don't think I'm getting any time in my lifetime, but to play Augusta National would be pretty amazing. Public course, maybe that's more attainable. The Wisconsin courses Wisconsin and Michigan courses. I've never been to Michigan really in the summer, and there's supposed to be some amazing golf up there. So that's kind of on the bucket list. Who would I play golf with in the world? I don't know. My dad, so I got into golf. My grandparents played golf. My dad played golf. My cousins played golf. So I was just home, and I grew up in St. Louis, and a couple weeks ago and played golf with my dad, and we still enjoy that. And that's a great time, just to hang out with him and play. And it's not competitive or anything. It's just fun. So that's nice. I don't know. Tom Brady? I don't know.
That'd be kind of cool. I mean, I always want to, like, I don't play golf anymore, but like if I could like interact with someone who's not like family, it'd probably make it someone like David Grohl, because I just find him to be an interesting person. And I think that's what the golf would be about. It would not be about really playing the sport. It's just about being able to interact with someone and to kind of be in a casual environment.
Yeah. Warren, Bill Gates is a golfer, so maybe, pick his brain for a couple hours on a golf course would be interesting. I don't know.
Our CEO, Dan, worked at Microsoft for about 20 years, and he actually knows Bill Gates pretty well because he ran the Dallas office for Microsoft. And he always said that Steve Ballmer is a much sweeter guy.
There you go.
But,
so,
yeah. So,
I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Is there any place that you haven't traveled to yet that's on your destination list?
Yeah, a bunch. My biggest, I just haven't had a chance to go there. There's 2 that I really want to get to. Is South Africa is really high on my bucket list, and then the other is Argentina. Buenos Aires is. I've had some scheduled trips to go there that I've had to cancel last minute for some things, and both of those are very much on my bucket list. And I would love to get back to Australia. I've been there once for vacation a couple years ago, and now I have not been since I've worked for League of Fat Bastards. But Australia was amazing. So that's a place. It's a long way to go, but if you can get there and spend a couple days, more than a couple days there, it's a really cool place.
Isn't it like a 20-hour flight or something, like flights or?
It was a long flight. I flew from when I was in New Jersey at the time to Australia. You lose a day going there. It was really the first time I'd kind of traveled east like that. It's west but east. And I flew to Los Angeles, which was like 5 hours from New Jersey, and then I think it was like a 14-hour flight to Australia.
Oh my God, I would be going crazy in the entire flight.
Yeah, the amazing thing is you go over there and you come back. It's really weird though, because you'll leave at like 8 a.m. and you'll land before you actually left.
Oh, that's insane.
Right. It's really weird. It was the first time I did it. It was really like freaky. It was like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, you know, if you leave at 8 a.m. or whatever the time you leave, you'll land before it actually is the time you left, because they're a day ahead, effectively.
It's like closest to time traveling you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
I have some prospect accounts that are on the border between Georgia and Alabama, like in Columbus and in Phoenix City. So I can go see a customer in Columbus and then go see a customer in Phoenix City before I saw the customer in Columbus because of the time.
That's the same thing, just on a much bigger scale. But
like, yeah.
The first time I did that, I was like, I'm like, how do you guys know what time it is? And how are people like, they just said that you get used to it and that they usually follow like one specific time. And like, I always lived in the East Coast. So I never, except time on the West Coast, but I never experienced crossing an international daytime ever before.
Yeah. Fun.
Now, like Rob, if there's a few things that people could learn or know about you from this interview, what are a few things that you wanted to share?
Well, I think first is, you know, I put our cigar up there. I think the mission of our company, hopefully that, you know, your viewers are interested in that. You guys, you know, even Lauren, you just saying you didn't know that about our company. I mean, that's why we're here to talk about it and get, you know, tell our story to more consumers. So I'd say number one is that. Number two, from a personal standpoint, yeah, I mean, I love this industry. It's a great industry to be in, and a lot of great people to connect with. So it's good to see you, Alan, again, and nice to meet you, Lauren. And you know, there's not industries like that allow you to do that. So I love the industry. I love the category, and you know, consumers out there, go out and try and support your local retailer and your online retailer, and try as many new cigars as you like.
So you said the next event that you're doing is at Cigars International, correct?
We've got a couple events. So we have a person who does our events down she lives in Miami. So we do a bunch of local events down there kind of every week. We've partnered with a couple different Harley Davidson dealerships and done a bunch of events kind of every other week there. But from a store perspective, we've got a couple things lined up. We're doing an event at Neptune and Smoke Inn, but it's in front of me because we've been finalizing it. We're doing a whole tour of events kind of around the country with all the CI stores. So, you know, they've got now these kind of Florida, Texas, kind of Pennsylvania stores, but so they want to do the concept we were talking about in all their stores. So we've got that scheduled for starting in September through like October or November.
They have a couple locations within about 45 minutes of where I am in Houston. Like I've happened to know you, Rob, for a while because of we worked in the past, and I want to tell our viewers that Rob is a very genuine and good human being, and it's a great leader. If he's also very informative, so like if you ever get a chance to see him at an event, always ask your questions because he can really give you a lot of insight and information.
You're gonna make me cry, Alan. I'll give you the $20 after the call.
Hey, I'm very fortunate where I've worked with a lot of great people, and one of those is the person that you used to work with as well, Rob Norris. Yeah. And I've always been thankful of the stuff I learned and the guidance, but also the freedom that you guys gave me to kind of figure out what my role is and what I'm capable of doing. So, and I think that's important leadership, is to empower people and give them freedom.
Absolutely.
So they essentially can find more about League of Fat Bastards. I assume you have a website.
Yep. So, you know, our socials, our website is lofbcigars.com is the easiest place. And then our should know it off the top of my head, but our Instagram is LOFB, love LOFB. So LOVE LOFB. So love LOFB, they can find us there. And then, like I said, lofbcigars.com.
Excellent. Well, I look forward. I would love to go to one of your guys' events. You know, I'm not a man, but I do support mental health. support. So
We'd love to have you. So we'd love to have you and Alan. And next time I see you, I will certainly get you guys cigars to try on. I know you got it ready, but
Yep, I actually
let us
purchased it
know.
I purchased my cigar from Smoke Inn. I did a build your own sampler because I wanted to try it, and the Robusto is really good. I can't like there's a cigar from Hoya that it reminds me a lot of, and I just can't put my finger on it because like the taste is really great. I think that if consumers haven't smoked it, they're gonna really enjoy it. If you love Nicaraguan cigars, but the ones that are not all like too full body, this is the perfect cigar. I think that it's gonna be really popular and do really well for you guys.
Thanks. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, excellent. Yeah. Is there anything that you wanted to share that we might have not covered at all, or any last plugins?
No. You guys have been great. Thank you for having me, and appreciate the opportunity. So this has been a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Great. Do you have anything to share, Lauren, at all?
No, but it was great. Obviously, it's such a cool message, and I think it would really resonate. I think with just anyone really, and I think as you said before, there's so many great cigar companies and cigars out there. It's really hard to distinguish yourself on the shelf. So I like this is probably the most unique, I guess, mission statement I've heard in a very long time from a cigar company. So, bravo.
It's great. I mean, I think that's what makes it unique and different.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like the name when I first heard it, I was like, "Fat Bastards." I'm like, I think they get sued by a film company. And I actually know a guy in Australia. He's like, "We use Fat Bastard like you guys use any normal saying. It's like you guys saying the word the. We use bastard almost as much. I mean, he uses a lot of other words which we don't use in the U.S. that I was shocked about, but it's a completely different jargon. But I think people are going to love the message and love the cigars. And thank you for coming on our show, Rob.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you all for tuned in tonight, and you guys have a fantastic night, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.